My name is Joanne McLaughlin. My new novel, Chasing Ashes, is coming out in November, and it's a mystery. It's being published by Celestial Echo Press. So the plot begins with the release of Laura Cunningham's book, Bloodstains, about the 1992 fire at the edge of a college campus in central Pennsylvania. And in the fire, 12 people die, but her best friend vanishes and has never been heard from again. That's where the mystery begins, yes. Laura Cunningham is the main character of the book. She is the reporter. She has decided that she has to go for broke and figure out what happened to her best friend, Kate McDonald. Did Kate die, or did Kate just disappear? So she writes a book called Bloodstains to try to figure it out and to try to hopefully get the investigation reopened. Who is Kate McDonald, the woman who disappeared? She was a college senior, 22 years old, was a reporter and an editor at the Informed Student, which is the name of the newspaper on this college campus in my book. And she is one of those impulsive, hell-bent individuals. When she gets a story, she can't shake it. She goes after it like a dog with a bone. She decides she's going to solve this issue and kind of runs headlong into this mess. They find Kate's car at the fire scene, engine running, keys in the ignition, lights on, doors open, but she is nowhere to be found. My characters do show traits of individuals that I know. In my books, and I think this is especially true of Chasing Ashes, my characters are more composites. Jane Baker, who was the third roommate. Jane is a composite of probably 2 or 3 of the roommates I had in college. Laura and Kate. Laura Cunningham, the woman who is the main character in the book, who writes the book about the fire, and Kate McDonald, the woman she's looking for, went to grade school, high school in Delaware County, yes. They are Delco proud. Very often, my characters will sometimes do things I don't expect them to. I think I can honestly say that the most surprising thing that happened, kind of 2 characters bonded in a way I did not expect them to, that they became friendly in a way I did not expect them to. So for me, living in Northwest Philadelphia right now, I stop in at Booked on Germantown Avenue and Chestnut Hill fairly often. Big Blue Marble in West Mount area is very close to my home, and of course I spend a lot of time in Barnes & Noble. I go to the one in Plymouth Meeting all the time, but they've been very helpful to me, and I just love spending time in bookstores. Well, I want them to say, wow, this is a great book, but I also want them to take away the fact that my characters are loyal, tireless. They're working hard at something that just seemed to be like an absolute impossible mystery to solve. And they chip away and they chip away and they chip away and they chip away. And it comes to a resolution that I hope my readers find as satisfactory. One of the things I think that makes Laura and Nick relatable is that this is a couple that's divorced. They have a 15-year-old son. Laura is remarried and has an 8-year-old son by her second husband. And there's that constant sort of everyday people like all the rest of us. We all have issues, right? Not particularly, but there was something that happened when I was a senior in college, and it was a kind of a weird thing. People were marching around town with a coffin, and they were just marching into the parking lot of the apartment building that I lived with my roommates, and we were standing on the balcony, and one of my roommates said, this looks like something you could write a book about someday. It only took me a whole lot of years to do it, but that is pretty much the inspiration for all of this. I have always been a storyteller since I was a very little girl, and so what made me want to be a writer is the fact that it was a chance to put those stories down on paper or in digital form now, so that other people could read it. I was forcing my stories on my friends when I was a very little girl, and I haven't stopped yet. My background is in journalism, and I spent many years working for newspapers and some years working in public media, both in Philadelphia and its suburbs, but also in upstate New York and in northeastern Ohio. All 4 of my completed novels, including Chasing Ashes, have journalists in them. There's always some character or another digging around, poking into something in my books, which is what I've done all my life. How hard was it to go from editing facts to writing fiction? Not hard. I mean, obviously the art of writing fiction is difficult, but you're still writing, even when you're creating a world on another planet, you're creating a world and it has to be true to life. So there are things that will always have to be, there has to be a truth to your book, no matter what you write about. You have to be true to the world in which you're writing and to the world you are writing. So it's not that much different. Journalism, was a really good practice, and was a really good background and taught me to try to keep things to a high level of accuracy. We're doing an official book launch for Chasing Ashes on Saturday, November 18th at PhilCon in Cherry Hill. That's the Philadelphia Science Fiction Convention. It's a weekend-long event at the DoubleTree in Cherry Hill. Celestial Echo Press will have a table there, and we'll be selling the book. And so come see us if you're going to the convention. The book will be available on Amazon and on barnesandnoble.com and probably other online retailers as well. Well, in terms of Chasing Ashes, I certainly want to thank my publishers and my editors at Celestial Echo Press, Anne Stalinsky and Ruth Littner, who saw in this book what I saw in it after many years. And I am really looking forward to holding this in my hand in November. I would also like to thank my legion of readers and supporters in my own personal life who read many versions of this book over the years and kicked me when I needed to be kicked and praised me when I needed to be praised and just listened to me and read it. It's a much better book because of all of those people. Also should give a shout out to my website designer, Amy Janai Placentra, the person who shot my cover photos, Mari Schaefer, because they're the best.
Perfect. It's a wrap. Yay.